What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Panda here. Guys, they did it to us again. We kind of called that this was going to happen because of how the Alistar events sort of lined up, that you were going to have some crazy summon happening this week. And guys, it's officially in the game. We have this next weekend's summoning event, so let's just quickly dive in and look at what those are. The first things first is we have a surprise banner, guys. This is probably one of the best banners in the game. I have personally hit big every time this has come around, and this is your 1+1, okay? So if you are close to pity, or you have enough summons to go to pity, this is probably the best bang for your buck when it comes to pulling a legendary or using your summons in general. Okay, the reason why this is because even if you go all the way to pity, it's just as good as a 2x banner, because you're going to be guaranteed 2 legendaries when you hit that pity. Okay, but assuming you hit it early, it's even better than a 2x. Okay, so this is definitely one of the best banners in the game. I've said it time and time again. I highly recommend, if you can manipulate, your pity, and you're really close, or you have the amount of diamonds or the amount of summons you need to get to this pity, highly recommend you pull, guys. It's going to be very, very beneficial for your account, especially if you're early game, but even if you're in the mid to late game where you have a lot of legendaries, because the more chances at legendaries, the better chances you have of getting the good legendaries, right? So maybe you're missing out on that Vierna or that Silas, or you're missing out on one of those, those lords that you don't currently have. This could be a good chance to potentially get one of those, because you're going to be guaranteed a second one when you pull one. So very, very, very good. Second thing we have is the crazy invocation and the crazy divine summons. This is pretty standard at this point. I'm not going to talk about it a lot. You get 2x. It happens pretty much every weekend at this point. It would be surprising if it didn't happen coming forward. So definitely great, which is really good in my opinion, because that means that we're not required to hold our summons for a good 2x, because it happens almost every weekend. So if you feel like pulling this weekend, but you're not close to that pity, you could go ahead and pull on the 2x if you wanted to, because you'll have a better chance at pulling something good. And by good, I mean a legendary, right? But then we have the real juicy banner, and that is the special ancient summoning. Now, we were pretty sure that we were going to be baited with the last ancient summoning, and I will tell you that we were 100% baited. So if you use your ancient summons, I am sorry. I hope you didn't. But also, luckily, we still have the Immortal Codex around, which means you're going to be able to accumulate a decent amount of ancient summons between now and this weekend, because you're going to be getting those shards every day. So hopefully you can build up at least a couple between now and then, and maybe you'll get lucky and pull something crazy on this banner. But let's dive into the 3 champions that are on this banner. So first one's first is Cyrus. He is the new legendary lord for the Esotericist faction, and he is really good. He is a defender who deals some magic damage. Phenomenal champion. He also has 4 range, which is actually really cool. His talent summons a skeletal warrior, which is just a summon unit that possesses a decent amount of his stats, and he's able to block, which is really good, because he basically makes him a 4-block tank, which is really good, especially if you're able to put one of the block artifacts on him. Then he becomes a 5-block tank, which is pretty nutty in my opinion. But then we have a basic here. Basic just deals some AoE damage, really powerful. First passive, Lord of the Undead. 40% of incoming damage will be absorbed by the hero's summons. When the hero receives fatal damage, one of the summons will be sacrificed to resist the damage. Pretty powerful in my opinion. These summons, just basically are extra lives, which is really cool. When the HP of the hero's summon is below 50%, increase its attack speed by 60 and its damage by 30%. So it also deals a decent amount of damage. I personally haven't seen Cyrus in action, but he looks really cool, and I'm excited to, hopefully get my hands on him one day. Then we go into his ultimate, which summons 1 skeletal fighter within 2 tiles ahead and increases their and the hero's damage by 100% and attack speed by 60 for 10 seconds. And this basically allows you to get a additional skeleton, which is really cool. Especially if you happen to pop this right as your Cyrus is about to die, then you'll have 2 extra lives basically in that period of time, which is really cool, because again, You've got this base one that's right there, plus you have the new one that you summon. Could be very powerful. Definitely a pretty strong tank. Let's quickly talk about his Awakens, and then we'll move on. So his Awaken 1, when summoning Skeletal Fighter, there's a 25% chance to summon a Warrior. Warriors are basically just a little bit stronger, I assume. Right, let's see. The Skeletal Fighter possesses significant portions. My game is frozen. What's happening? Let's open it back up. 1 second, guys. Here we go. So Fighter possesses a few of the Summoner's hero attributes, and the Warrior... Why is it doing this again? What is happening? The Warrior possesses significant portions, right? So the Warrior is just stronger. He has more of the stats that Cyrus has, which is really good. Then we have the A2, flat attack, and also gives faction allies penetration. Great. A3 summons an extra skeleton fighter when deployed. Always amazing. This gives you an additional block. It gives you an additional life. It gives you more damage. This is really, really powerful. 4 gives you more rage regen. Great. And then Awakened 5, upon death or retreat, summons one skeleton fighter. This is really good because this basically makes Cyrus invincible from at least the way that it reads, right? Because this passive means whenever the hero receives fatal damage, the summon is sacrificed. But when he dies, you get another one, right? So it feels really powerful. I'm not sure how it works on paper. I haven't actually seen him in action, but hopefully he works that way, because if so, that'd be crazy. Again, this is an A5 Legendary Lord we're talking, so we'll see how it goes. But let's hop into the second one, which is Uridin. And guys, this guy is amazing. I have heard so many good things about him. He is phenomenal. He has the execution mechanic, which, as far as I'm aware, the only other champion in the game that has this is Vierna, and we know how powerful she is. But he is a chaotic cultist magical fighter with multi-target attack and execution. His talent is, after the ultimate is cast, basic attack will turn into Phantom Strike, which deals AoE damage at the 10 enemies in the range. Jesus, can't read today. For 15 seconds. If the ultimate is cast when Potent Surge maxes out, basic attack will turn into Soul Harvest, which is even more damage. And it deals it twice, right? So it goes from 150 to 10 to 120 two times, which is 240 damage, right? So pretty powerful. Then we have the basic attack here, just does AoE damage up to 10 or up to 5 enemies. Pretty good. Passive here, a lower HP grants a higher rage regen auto with a maximum increase of 9 when HP reaches 30%. Pretty good. You're going to get his ultimate a ton because of this. Then we have Arbiter of Death. When dealing damage using Soul Harvest, there is a 20% chance to execute enemies, excluding elites and bosses, whose HP is below 25%, and that goes up to 35% HP, which is very powerful. And it's very good in Void Rift, because those enemies that become, stuck in stone, you have to execute them to really deal a good chunk of damage. So this gives you a potential better option, a secondary option. If you don't have Vierna, or if you do have Vierna, it just gives you another person that can do a similar thing. When receiving fatal damage during the effects of Phantom Strike and Soul Harvest, this hero enters Unyielding, which can be triggered up to 1 time per deployment. Unyielding just means unkillable. We know that is very good. Then we have the ultimate Obliterating Blast. This attacks up to 10 enemies in a large range, dealing damage and inflicting stun. When Potent Surge maxes out, attack up to 10 enemies in a large range, large range ahead, dealing 800% AoE damage and inflicting stun. So Potent Surge rage continues to recover after reaching its cap, accumulating up to 2 times the cap. All rage will be consumed when casting the ultimate. So you basically just want to build up a ton of rage, and you're going to do some crazy things. Uridin is phenomenal. Let's quickly go into the Awakens. A1, during the effect of Unyielding granted by Arbiter of Death, increase attack speed by 200. When the effect ends, restores 50% HP. Really powerful. It just makes him stronger in death, and helps keep him alive, because he's not like some of the other champions where once they hit Unyielding, they just die shortly afterwards, right? A2 gives 15% crit damage. We love that. A3, when Potent Surge maxes out, damage of Obliterating Blast ignores 40% of the target's magic res. This is really good. We love this, okay? Phenomenal, A3. A4 is just 8% penetration, and A5 is for each enemy taking damage from Obliterating Blast, increases attack by 5% for 15 seconds, stacking up to 5 stacks, which means you're getting 25% attack, which is also very powerful. But again, this is an A5 of a Chaotic Champion, which is, I believe, just slightly under that Legendary Lord, but not by much, right? Very good champion. Also has a block of 2, which is nice. Then we have the last one on this list, which looks so cool. I love the design of Pelagios. I believe that's how you say it. Maybe it's Pelagios, but I'm going to go with Pelagios because that makes most sense to me. This is one of our new Arbiter faction champions. He's an Arbiter and a Piercer. He's a magic marksman who does AoE, control, and true damage, which is phenomenal. He summons Tides every 12 seconds, dealing true damage to targets in range with a chance to inflict a stack of Radiant Erosion. As time elapses in the battle, the damage of the Tides will increase gradually, and its trigger interval will be shortened. Radiant Erosion is just basically a dot that deals true damage based on the carrier's defense every 2 seconds, stacking up to 3 stacks. Now, personally, I think that this is slightly less effective as it would have been prior to the change in the HP defense scaling, but it is still going to be very powerful, I would assume, because the higher you go, the more defense someone's going to have, which means he's going to deal even more damage, which is really, really good. Then we go into his basic. It deals AoE damage, multiple enemies. We love that. His passive here, Poseidon's Fury, has a 60% chance to create a tidal vortex at the target's location, lasting for 3 seconds. Tidal vortex consistently draws enemies towards its center, dealing AoE magic damage per second. If the enemies are afflicted with Radiant Erosion, 1 stack of Radiant Erosion will be consumed to deal 600% true damage to the enemies. This is really cool because it actually draws the targets in, which means your AoE damage is more effective, which I think is really cool. I always love champions that kind of manipulate the battlefield, such as Aeon, right? Then we go into the second passive, which is Tidal Barrage. When there are more than 5 enemies in range, there's a 30% chance of casting Poseidon's Fury repeatedly on random enemies. This can be triggered at most 2 consecutive times. If there are more than 10 enemies, the trigger chance is doubled. So this is really cool because this 30% actually goes up to 40%. And if there's 10 enemies, then it's up to 80%. So it's almost a guarantee that it's going to happen, which is really, really cool. And then, of course, we have the ultimate, which is Poseidon's Fury. He attacks 1 enemy in range, dealing AoE magic damage to up to 10 nearby enemies and inflicting 3 stacks of erosion on the main target. So this is really cool. We have a lot of, mechanics with Radiant Erosion. It's going to deal a ton of damage. He's also magic damage, right? Keep that in mind. And he does a ton of AoE magic damage, to be specific. He's going to be really good in Gear Raid 1. Now, of course, we did just get Boreas if you happen to summon for him. Boreas is kind of sort of the new king of Gear Raid 1 from what I understand. I haven't had a chance to use mine in Gear Raid 1 yet because I've been busy with the holidays and everything, but I will say that I have seen some videos and he does some crazy things in Gear Raid 1. I'm excited to use him. However, Pelagios seems like he's going to be really good here as well, and also could be potentially really good in a lot of other game modes, including places like Nightmare Void Rift, because of how tanky those enemies could be. Let's quickly go into the Awakens here. We have A1, each tide released restores an additional 10% rage. We love that. More ultimates is great because that means more stacks of erosion, which means more true damage, etc. A2 is 5% attack. We love that. A3, Poseidon's Fury deals damage to 4 more targets. Amazing. Very, very powerful, right? A4 is 8% crit rate. Not the best, but we'll take it. Easier to build. And then A5, basic attack has a 10% chance to create a tidal vortex for 4 seconds, which is that consistently drawing enemies in. So if you happen to go all out and you happen to get yourself A5 of Pelagios, which means 6 copies, or you happen to have some Lego Soul Stones lying around, you could have a very, very powerful CC machine that deals true damage, which is kind of crazy. So guys, I really hope you didn't use your ancient summons last week, or I guess technically a couple days ago, right? If you did, hopefully you build up some more between now and Saturday, and you're able to get a decent summoning session in to try and get some of these crazy good champions that are coming out. I personally am going to be summoning, and I'm really, really looking forward to picking up Cyrus. He's kind of the one that I want the most, because, I did just pull Boreas, and he is an esotericist, right? So if we come in here and we look at my esotericists, I have some decent esotericists. I do have Raiden, so I do have a lord for the faction, but I would really like to get him to buff my AI and my Boreas. And I just realized one thing that we didn't do. Let me go back in here and let's take a look at it. We didn't look at the lord skill. My bad, guys. The lord skill is 15% basic attributes, pretty common. Reduce faction ally skill costs by 25%. When an ally is defeated or retreats, increase the damage of other faction allies by 25% for 8 seconds. This effect can be triggered one time every 12 seconds. This shouts crazy good Laurel synergy to me, right? Because with Laurel, you're removing her. You're purposely removing her. And what is she doing? She's feeling the rage of everyone around her, which means you're going to have 25% additional damage during everyone's ultimate, which is crazy good. I am super excited for him. I really hope I can get my hands on him. I have yet to pull a legendary lord from Ancients, so maybe we'll get lucky this weekend. Let me know in the comment section down below if you are planning to pull this weekend. Maybe you're not. If you're not, that's cool too. Let me know that as well. If you liked the video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button and make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you want to see more content from me in the future. That's going to be it for me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.